Gear. So I'll be frank, when I started making the video, I was planning to make the video about classes and gear, but I quickly realized the video would have been too long. So this video will only be the gear in League of Maidens. I'll leave the classes to be explained in another video that will probably be released later this week. Anyways, this video gives you anything and everything you need to know about the gear in this game. I hope you enjoy it, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment if you have any questions or want to add or correct me, and subscribe. Also, if you enjoy the game and want to see more, come to see me on my Twitch. All links and timestamps will be in the description. Hope you enjoy. To understand the strengths and weaknesses of the classes, we have to understand how gear works in this game. The gear in the game is divided into 3 tiers and 3 rarities. Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. And common, which is gray, rare, which is purple, epic, which is orange. Yes, I know, it's confusing. They skipped green and blue. I don't know why. Don't ask me, alright? Gear has 3 properties. First, there is the main stat. This stat increases with level of the gear. Then there's the secondary stat that doesn't change with the level and is randomly generated. For example, at the moment, the most wanted secondary stat, which most call substat, for most classes is plus 40 attack, which to my knowledge is the highest substat available for attack for non-Ascension Gear. We'll talk more about Ascension Gear later in the video. The third property of the gear is the set bonus, which is unique to each class. This set bonus can only be active when equipping 6 pieces of the same tiered gear. Gear level in this game goes from 0 to plus 14. When the gear goes higher, it tiers up. Easy, right? At the time of patch 1.5.5a, Tier 3 plus 15 is the max level of gear actually achievable. I know I just said plus 14 was the max, but this is an exception since there is no Tier 4 gear. This will probably change in the future if they decide to add more tiers of gear. Alright, so before trying to understand how Ascension Gear works, you need to know different stats available in the game and what they do. There are 6 stats in the game, one for each main stat of each piece of gear. Pretty obvious, right? 5 of these directly influence your combat stat and 1 influences crafting. So the helmet gives defense, which increases your def and reduces the damage taken. The chest plate gives HP, which increases your HP, obviously. The greaves give critical chance, which increases your crit. The gauntlets, not to be confused with the gauntlet that drops for bosses, gives attack, which increases your attack. The ring gives magic, which increases the MP. It is not a damage multiplier for magician type classes like the healer or sorceress. This is a mistake many early game players make. And finally, the most confusing one, the necklace, which gives intelligence, which increases the instat, a stat that gives a small, almost insignificant increase to enhancement chance. Now on to Ascension Gear. Okay, so Ascension Gear is the Tier 3 gear that you can buy that is specific to your class at the Ascension vendor on the Setonia Islands. That's a map that's one of the 3 maps, so you have Freedom City, Setonia Islands, and Necropolis Desert. Setonia Islands has no mobs whatsoever. It's basically just a chilling spot where you can fish and take quests, buy stuff, sell stuff. HPs will cost you 120,000 shards. Keep in mind that you don't have to buy it, right? You can enhance Tier 2 gear to Tier 3 by enhancing further than 14, plus 14, like I said earlier. Every class can buy a specific set of Ascension Gear, so it's different for every single class. So what's the difference between a normal Tier 3 gear and an Ascension Tier 3 gear? Well, the Ascension sets have a fixed boosted substat. This substat cannot be achieved with normal gear, right? So every class has the same substat for every piece of gear, right? It doesn't change. Normally it would change, but not on Ascension Gear, right? For the warrior, this stat is attack. For tank, it's defense. For healer, it's HP. For sorceress, it's MP. And for assassin, it's crit. I'm gonna be honest here, the Ascension set are extremely unbalanced. I won't go into the details, but I will tell you what class you should buy them on. For warrior, this set is a must, right? But remember earlier how I said that a normal piece of gear has a mass substat of plus 14 attack? Well, their substat is doubled by that, right? So it's not 40, it's 80. Considering that attack is almost the only damage multiplier in the game, this makes warrior the highest damage class in the late game at the moment. They might change it in the future, they probably will, but at the moment warrior is the highest not DPS, damage class in the game. So the other stat that influences damage is crit, right? Crit is on the assassin ascension set, right? The only problem is the full set makes your crit go beyond 100%, which doesn't increase your damage multiplier. So it's not like in other games where the more crit you have, like that little crit that's beyond 100 gets converted into damage. This doesn't happen in this game. So basically, it's better not to buy the whole set, but just buy a couple pieces to get your crit to that 100% or close. I would suggest going to 80 because 100% is not. I think you need to sacrifice. Need to go beyond 100, which is not good. So you should go a little lower and get more attack on other sets of gear as a substat, as a plus 40 substat. That's what I recommend for Assassin. For the other classes, Sorceress has MP, which is completely useless. So I could go into the details, but I main Sorc, so just trust me. Don't buy Ascension Gear on Sorc. You can maybe buy one piece if you think you don't have enough MP, but I assure you, you will. So don't buy it. So for tank, it can be fun to go around with so much defense, but you won't do much damage. It's up to you to test what combinations you like the most. And lastly, healer, in my opinion, is the hardest one to build because her passive that makes her heal the damage she deals, right? Gives you the need to be tanky enough to survive, but also do enough damage to heal. I haven't found an optimal build for this one. Like the tank, it really needs more testing. I haven't played much tank and healer. I haven't leveled them up yet and gotten the Ascension sets, so I couldn't tell you. And that's pretty much it. Through the video, I've been talking a lot about enhancing. What is it? How does it work? And how do you do it? Okay, so when you start doing things in the game, you get quests, you start grinding gear. By grinding, I mean not grinding like farming mobs, but actually grinding physically with a grinder. You can get black cubes from tier 1 to tier 3. You can use these to enhance or upgrade your gear. I use both terms, they mean the same thing just so you don't get confused throughout the video. The bigger the level of the enhancement, the smaller the chances of success. This will become important when we start to use fail stacks, right? You need 1 tier 1 cube, 2 tier 2 cubes, or 3 tier 3 cubes depending on the tier of your gear to enhance it. This makes it extremely hard to upgrade tier 3 gear without exploits. So if you do see people with extremely high numbers of tier 3 gear, you should be starting to ask yourself some questions. Alright, so when you fail an enhancement, you gain 1 fail stack. After 5 fail stacks, you get a guaranteed upgrade. Fail stacks do not go away with a successful upgrade, and the more fail stacks don't increase your enhancing chance. Fail stacks are also specific to tier, remember that, right? Because I see a lot of people adding fail stacks to tier 2 gear and then trying to enhance their T3 gear. That doesn't work. I would recommend building fail stacks on lower level gear, the same tier, to upgrade higher level gear. So This way, you get a guaranteed successful enhancement on higher pieces of gear that are harder and have a lower chance to actually enhance. So that makes it really easy in this game to actually enhance stuff for a cheap price, whereas in other games sometimes it's really hard in these types of systems to actually enhance your gear without losing everything. That's pretty much it. Everything you need to know about gear in League of Maidens. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment if you have any questions, or want to add or correct me, and subscribe. If you enjoy the game and want to see more, come to see me on Twitch. All links and timestamps will be in the description. If I have any corrections to make, they'll be pinned in the comments. Um, Thanks for watching, and hope I made your brains a little bigger.